Vauxhall VXR8 GTS R review. October 2017 saw the production end for arguably Australia's greatest automotive export, the Holden Commodore, and with that end, one of the UK car market's strangest, most enriching, most wonderful and most unlikely seams of import supply has forever dried up. Vauxhall's lurid, unreconstructed, antediluvian, V8-powered, infamous Aussie-built Anglophile, the VXR8, is no more. Cue the Kylie and Jason mood music. There is much more to mourn with the Holden's passing, of course, since it also represented the death knell of local car production in Australia and of the variety it gave to petrolheads everywhere. In the end, Holden's Commodore production line stayed running a year longer than Ford's Falcon factory and a month longer than Toyota's local Camry facility, but finally wound to a stop on October 20, 2017. And when it stopped, Commodore supply obviously stopped for the firm that has been supplying rebadged, performance-tuned versions of the V8 saloons to UK showrooms for 10 years now, Holden Special Vehicles, HSV. And yet before it stopped, Vauxhall put in one last batch order with HSV for just 15 examples of a special edition VXR8 that's the focus of this valedictory road test, the GTS R. Meaningfully identical to the HSV model of the same name, the VXR8 GTS R gets a dab more power than the GTS we tested in 2014, as well as various other mechanical tweaks, styling modifications and cabin upgrades, all of which you're about to read in greater detail. All 15 of those cars have since been sold. So if you've been waiting since the earliest Holden monoros appeared in the UK in 2004 to treat yourself to your very own slice of Australian muscle and you're only now learning that it's too late to do so, commiserations. You can, at least, find out how the very last VXR8, and the most powerful car to wear a Vauxhall badge, got on against our road test timing gear, and what kind of farewell tribute to such a unique and likable car it is, by simply reading on. First, let's position this car correctly, both as a Vauxhall and an HSV. Running the same LSA family Chevrolet small block V8 as the Camaro ZL1, remapped and fitted with a new air filter compared with the one in the regular VXR8 GTS. The GTS R has 587 bhp on which to struggle by. And although that's more than any VXR8 or indeed Vauxhall has ever had before, it does leave the car shy of the headline power output of cars of its ilk from Mercedes-AMG, Audi Sport and BMW M by a clearly present margin, however narrow. Much as the handful of owners may not care about such things, some may have preferred to see the VXR8 sign off with a more emphatic performance statement. And in Australia, at least, it did. The LS9-engine GTS RW1, whose 636 bhp V8 came from Chevrolet Corvette ZR1, was HSV's own farewell love letter to the Commodore. Only 300 were built, and unfortunately it never got, or needed, the Vauxhall VXR8 export makeover treatment. Back to what we did get, then. Although the GTS R's V8 makes no more torque than the regular GTS's, it has an Eden supercharger blowing at 9 pounds per square inch and bimodal exhaust system, now with 2 diagonal exhaust tips rather than 4 round ones, that has been retuned for a fruitier bellow. Downstream of it, buyers had the same choice of 6-speed manual or automatic transmission as with the GTS, and a mechanical limited slip differential for the driven rear axle as standard, as well as brake-based electronic torque vectoring and proper track-intended electronic traction and launch control systems, again, all just as the GTS had. In the rolling chassis department, though, we find evidence of greater change: retuned suspension springs and magnetic ride control dampers, uprated, 410mm front brake discs and 6-piston front calipers, and new 20-inch forged alloy wheels. Suspension is otherwise by struts up front and independent multi-links at the rear. Power steering is an electromechanical system, the switch from hydraulic steering having been made for the regular Commodore as part of the 2013 model year VF generation revision. The GTS R's exterior identifiers comprise a new front bumper with a wider central air dam, wider front wings and a larger front splitter than the GTS's, as well as an enlarged rear wing with a carbon fiber section and a more aggressive rear diffuser panel. The overall visual effect is of a fast four-door with plenty of steroidal attitude, particularly when painted the Spitfire green of our test car, and if you like that sort of thing, chances are you'll like what you see.